Hi there. I guess I'm live now. Okay, so this is we're going to continue the CAIB, and we're in the section 5.3, the agency trying to do too much with too little. Okay, I'm just going to start reading. A strong indicator of the priority of national political leadership assigned to a federal funded activity is its budget. By that criteria, NASA's space activities have not been high on the list of national priorities over the past 3 decades, after a peak during the Apollo program when NASA's budget was almost 4% of the federal budget. NASA's budget since the early 70s has hovered at a 1% of federal spending or less. They show a graph here, how it was high during Apollo and then it went down. It's pretty much been the same since 1977 to 2001. In this graph, it was 1%, less than 1%. Then, just as they said. And I'm going to read fast through this, and if I read something that, needs a little bit, go slower, then I'll go back over it. Or if I read something and I want to add a comment to, then I'll add the comment in. But there's a lot of words in here, and I don't want to spend a lot of time, reading them, because there is like some gold nuggets in here. That's what I'm looking for. Particularly in the recent years, as the national leadership has confronted the challenging task of allocating scarce public resources across many competing demands, NASA has had difficulty obtaining a budget allocation adequate to its continuing ambitions. Wow, that's one sentence, like a paragraph. In 1990, the White House chartered a blue ribbon committee chaired by aerospace executive Norman Augustine to conduct a sweeping review of NASA and its programs in response to the shuttle program and the flawed mirror on the Hubble Space Telescope. The review found that NASA's budget was inadequate for all the programs the agency was executing, saying that NASA is currently overcommitted in terms of program obligations relative to resources available. In short, it is trying to do too much and allowing too little margin for the unexpected. A reinvigorated space program. The reinvigorated space program. The Augustine Commission went on to say will require real growth in the NASA budget of approximately 10% per year through the year 2000, reaching a peak spending level of about $30 billion per year in constant 1990 dollars by about the year 2000. Translated into the actual dollar for fiscal year 2000, the recommendation would have meant NASA's budget over $40 billion. The actual NASA budget for that year was $13.6 billion. Okay, so there was a guy named Golden. He was our administrator for a while. He came up with the term better, faster, cheaper, cheaper, better, faster. Better, faster, and cheaper, which I like that term. Do things better, do it faster, and do it cheaper. And sometimes we have to do that. But they said that wouldn't work, but I don't see why that wouldn't work. I heard people say that won't work, but I think they just don't know how to make it work. So anyways, during the past decade, neither the White House nor Congress has been interested in reinvigorating the spacecraft. Instead, the goal has been a program that would continue to produce valuable scientific and symbolic payoffs for the nation without a need for increasing budgets. Recent budget allocations reflect this continuing policy reality. Between 1993 and 2002, the government discretionary spending grew in purchasing power by more than 25%, defense spending by 50%, and non-defense spending by 40%. NASA's budget in comparison showed little change, going from $14.31 billion in fiscal year 1993 to a low of $13.6 billion in fiscal year 2000, increasing $14.87 billion in fiscal year 2002. This represented a loss of 13% of purchasing power over the decade. Okay, so I kind of agree that if you don't have enough money to do things, you kind of you have to try to get by. So, but I don't know if that's really the problem now. So, but they seem to think so. So, or what caused some of the accidents? Changes in federal spending from 1993 through 2003. And they have a big list of here of all the different that fiscal year 1965 to 2004. And then they have something here called constant dollars in fiscal year 2002 in millions, and red dollars in millions. I don't know what this means, but I think we got a summary of that. That's the data there. I don't really need to go over that. The lack of the top level interest in the space program led a 2002 review of the U.S. aerospace sector to observe that a sense of lethargy has affected the space industry and community. Instead of the excitement and exuberance that dominated early ventures into space, we at times seem almost apologetic about our continued investments in the space program. Another thing I thought about, when I read this, I want to try to either read it like maybe a newscaster or something, or I want to put a little bit into it. I just don't want to read words. I want to make it more exciting for you all. Okay, so let me know how I do. You can go ahead and put something in the chat. And I need your feedback because I want to be a good customer service. So just let me know. I'm your customer. You're my customers. Just like Jesus, I'm trying to be like Jesus. And Jesus, he came to save the world, and I want to try to be like Jesus because that's what he told us to do. And I want to. Everybody's my customer. I want to try to help everybody. So just let me know how I'm doing reading these words here. So what the experts have said, and for me to read all this is it's hard for me to read these things because I'd rather be reading the Bible and doing a sermon now, but I was assigned to do this, and so I'm going to slip in some of the Bible in here and about Jesus, so I can, I'm going to do that because I'd rather be doing that than just reading about numbers. And although it's important, this is lives, and we want to save lives, and so I'm trying to pull out those golden nuggets here that we can try to focus on when we go forward and with our rockets. So warnings of a shuttle accident. Okay, what the experts have to say. Shuttle reliability is uncertain, but has been estimated to range around 97 to 99%. If the shuttle reliability is 98%, there would be a 50-50 chance of losing an orbiter within 34 flights. The probability of maintaining at least 3 orbiters in this shuttle fleet declines to less than 50% after 113. The Office of Technology Assessment. That was in 1989. I'm sure there was a lot of estimates that were made out there, and it's easy to go back and pick one that fits. Okay, and although it is a subject that meets with reluctance to open discussion and has therefore too often been regarded as silence, the statistical evidence indicates that we are likely to lose another space shuttle in the next several years. No, we're not, because they're not flying anymore. Probably before the planned space station is completely established on orbit. They had a good forecast there. This would seem to be the weak link in the civil space program. Unpleasant to recognize, involving all the uncertainties of statistics and the difficulty to resolve. It would have been nice if they said, well, why don't you look more closely at the phone? But they didn't. They gave a blanket that we might have another accident before the station was completely built. Shuttle has developed Shuttle as developmental vehicle. Shuttle is also a complex system that has yet to demonstrate its ability to adhere to the fixed schedule. NASA, that's true. NASA human spaceflight culture. NASA has not been significantly responsive to valid criticism and the need for change. Okay, I don't know what the specifics of that are, so I can't comment. Faced with the budget situation, NASA had the choice of either eliminating major programs or achieving greater efficiencies while maintaining its existing agenda. Agency leaders chose to attempt the latter. They combined it. They continued to develop the space station, continued robotic, planetary, and scientific missions, and continued shuttle-based missions for both scientific and symbolic purposes. In 1994, they took on the responsibility for developing an advanced technology launch vehicle in partnership with the private sector. They tried to do this by becoming more efficient, faster, better, cheaper. There it is right there. faster, better, cheaper, because the NASA slogan in the 1990s. As we read on, maybe we can find out what the real root cause was of. We'll just stick with Colombia because, you know, I mean, in hindsight, it's like, hey, uh, that makes sense. Why we shouldn't do that? We shouldn't do this. We shouldn't do that. We should do this. So why? How did we miss that? In hindsight, that's my question. That's what I'm looking for in here. That's the gold nugget that I'm looking for. We might have to piece together some gold leaves and some gold chips to get that gold nugget. But so far, I haven't seen. How can we, in the future, make sure we don't do that? I think, my first thought is that our minds need to be a little bit open to, you know, like when the guy told me that, well, the foam keeps falling off, but it's not going to damage anything. That didn't sound right in my mind. Why do we keep going with the foam falling off? That was in the beginning, and then I thought, well, NASA's gonna, they know what they're doing, but that's the thing. I think that's the root. If something doesn't seem right in your mind, you got to keep pursuing it. I wished I would have kept pursuing that, but like I said, told me that. I thought, well, they know what they're doing. That was in the very first 6 months that I was there. NASA knows what they're doing. But I learned otherwise since then. And I've seen it happen, you bring stuff up and it's not right, and you get pushed back, and sometimes you bring things up and it's almost like you're the problem for bringing stuff up. Sometimes they say, like, you gotta pick your battles. So I hope, I'm picking the right battles. I don't know, um, I hope I've been picking the right battles. We'll see. So the flat budget, I'll just keep have to watching some of these battles, that I kind of, retreated on a little bit, because sometimes it makes more sense. The flat budget of NASA particularly affected the human space flight enterprise. During the decade before the Columbia accident, NASA rebalanced the share of its budget allocation to human space flight from 48% to an agency funding in fiscal year 1991 to 38% in the fiscal year 1999, with the remainder going mainly to other science and technology efforts on NASA's fixed budget that met. The Space Shuttle and the International Space Station were competing for decreasing resources. In addition, at least 65 million of the NASA's human space flight budget was used to purchase Russian hardware and services related to the U.S.-Russian space cooperation. This initiative was largely driven by Clinton administration foreign policy and national security objectives of supporting the administration of Boris Yeltsin and halting the proliferation of nuclear weapons and the means of delivering them. Some of this, I mean, this is a lot of stuff they're saying here, and it's interesting, but I don't know if they're building a case here. I still don't think they're getting to the root cause. Earmarks. Pressure on NASA's budget has come not only from the White House, but also from Congress. In recent years, there has been an increasing tendency for the Congress to add earmarks and additional additions to the NASA budget requests that reflect targeted members' interests. These earmarks come out of the already appropriated funds, reducing the amounts available for the original task. For example, as Congress considered NASA's fiscal year 2002 appropriation, the NASA administrator told the House Appropriations Subcommittee with justification over the NASA budget that the agency was extremely concerned regarding the magnitude and number of congressional earmarks in the House and Senate versions of the appropriations bill, the total number of House and Senate earmarks is approximately 140 separate items and include an increase of nearly 50% of the fiscal year 2001. These earmarks reflected an increasing fraction of items that circumvent the peer review process or involve construction or other objectives that have no relation to NASA's mission objectives. They just want the money, Congress, Senate, House, and Senate. That's they need to clean up the swamp. Okay, the potential fiscal year 2002 earmark represents a net total of 450 million in reductions to ongoing NASA programs to fund this extremely large number of earmarks. Okay, well, I hope they're doing that. I hope they're getting rid of the earmarks. I mean, I don't know too much about it, but I think some people get paid to, what they call it, special interest, and then the special interests give earmarks, and it has a lot of influence on what the people do in Congress. So I hope they're not doing that too much anymore. But let's see. Space shuttle program budget patterns. For the past 30 years, the space shuttle program has been NASA's single most expensive activity. In all NASA's efforts, the program has been hardest hit by the budget constraints of the past decade, given the high priority assigned to 93 of completing the custom International Space Station. NASA's managers have had little choice but to attempt to reduce the cost of operating the space shuttle. This left little funding for shuttle improvements. The squeeze of the shuttle budget was even more severe after the Office of Management of Budget in 1994 insisted that any cost overruns of the International Space Station budget be made up from within the budget allocation of the human space flight rather than from the agency's budget as a whole. The shuttle was the only other program within the budget. I'd like to see examples of where they wanted to do studies or where they wanted to fix the foam problem. I'd like to see studies about that. I hope they have that in here. Details of, why the budget couldn't fix the foam. What happened? Like, did people actually submit proposals to study why is the foam coming off and how to stop the foam from coming off? I'd like to see. Hopefully that's in here. If that's not in here, then I really don't. I don't know. That's what we need to see here. That's a good example. Figures in 5.34 and 5.35 show the trajectory of the shuttle budget over the past decade. The fiscal year 93, the outgoing Bush administration requested $4.128 billion for the space shuttle program. 5 years later, the Clinton administration requested was for $2.977 billion, a 5% reduction. By fiscal year 2003, the budget request had increased to $3.208 billion, still a 20% reduction from the decade before. Can you imagine, NASA's doing these things, that have never been done before, and this is like, pulling it all together and figuring out how to do it. I mean, some of you might think, well, that's a lot of money, but it's not, the things that they're doing is helping the whole world. So anyways, with inflation, I mean, this is good things that they're doing. They're not just spending, this is not like a football game. This is actually, NASA is actually, learning new things, discovering new things, new technologies. With inflation taking into account over the past decade, there has been a reduction of approximately 40% in the purchasing power of the program's budget compared to the reduction of 13% of the NASA's budget overall. Okay. You can try to look at all these numbers. Here's a nice table: fiscal year, president's request to Congress, congressional appropriation, change, NASA's operating plan, change. So when I look at all this, it's all negative. Whatever they asked for, they got less. Should ask for more, I guess, but who knows? And the same thing for the operating plan. So that table, but where is the root? The thing that happened was the foam came off, right? That's what happened. Where I want to see where this budget and everything stopped them from investigating how to stop the foam 100% from coming off. That was my question back in 2000. when I did the walk down. That was in my mind. We should stop this 100%. And I thought, well, NASA knows what they're doing. And, but that's what I want to see here. Who was bringing up, which groups were bringing up about this foam and it needs to be stopped? Who was why wasn't it done? That's what I want to see in here. And I actually know somebody that, but I'm not going to talk about him or, I know something about that and I'm not going to talk about it because it's personal. So maybe that'll be in here. I hope it is because that's what it is. The foam came off, caused damage. Where did NASA, that's what really, it could have been a 5-page report here. Where did NASA fail to, get that done? And then go from there. Okay, well, the budget was what? This is how the budget caused that not to fail, that those studies fail. This is how Congress caused it to fail. But we're reading a lot of stuff that you got to kind of read and say, yeah, well, that's why it happened. And, I don't know. And, we're only in chapter 5. We just started. This is my first chapter. I probably should have read chapter 1 through 4. Who knows? After this section, maybe the next section is going to explain it. We'll see. This budget squeeze also came at a time when Space Shuttle, wait a second here, NASA budget as a percentage of federal budget, this is figure 5.3-5. So again, that was up high during Apollo and down low. It kind of follows the same curve as before. This budget squeeze also came in the time when the Space Shuttle program exhibited a trait common to most aging systems, increasing costs due to greater maintenance requirements and declining second and third tier contractor support base and deteriorating infrastructures. Maintaining the shuttle was becoming more expensive at a time when shuttle budgets were decreasing and being held constant. Only in the last few years have those budgets begun to gradually increase. Well, I could argue that, as you operate something, you learn how to find ways to be more efficient. So I don't see that aspect in here. But as figure 5.3 indicates, most of the steep reductions in the space shuttle date back to the first half of the 1990s. In the second half of the decade, the White House Office of Management Budget and NASA headquarters held a shuttle budget relatively level by deferring substantial funding for shuttle upgrades and infrastructure improvements, while keeping pressure on NASA to limit increases in operational costs. Well, that makes sense. You don't want to keep increasing costs. You want to try to, if you don't put pressure on someone to do better, they're just going to, think about it. Give me $100, I'll spend it. Give me $500, I'll spend it. $1,000, I'll spend it. But if you hold me accountable, okay, this is the money. What are you using it for? And you get, don't expect to get more unless we need to see where that money's going. Okay, 1992, the White House. This is 5.4. Turbulence and NASA hits the Space Shuttle program. Turbulence and NASA hits the Space Shuttle program. Okay, so in 1992, the White House replaced NASA Administrator Richard Truly. I never heard of him before, but now they're the new administrator. But aerospace executive Daniel S. Gold. I know Daniel S. Gold. He must have started when I was there. A self-proclaimed agent of change who held office from April 1st, 1992 to November 17, 2001. I got to have a picture of him, actually. Anyways, that's 5.4. We're going to do that the next time. I think we're ending now. And the big takeaway is, like I said again, I want to see, we know what happened. The foam came off. I want to see, and then they're saying they didn't have the budget to, that's one of the reasons why, they didn't stop the foam from, didn't stop the accident because of the budget. I want to see, where there was even anybody trying to, figure out how to stop the foam completely. To me, maybe, there shouldn't be any foam coming off. It should be 100% not coming off. That's what you call research, trying to figure out how to improve things. I don't want to hear that it can't be done. It's just a matter of trying to find a way to do it. Maybe you don't get 100%, maybe you get 99%, maybe you don't get, all the particles, but you get the bigger particles, bigger pieces. So that's what I want to see here. Where did NASA try to do that? Where did they try to stop the foam? And why didn't that get, why didn't that get addressed? I don't want to, speculate that it was because of the budget. Okay, well, that was good talking to you, and I hope you enjoyed this. We'll go into the CAIB 5.4 next time. Turbulence and shuttle hits the space shuttle program. And remember, do what Jesus told you to do, and you'll be okay. God bless you, and talk to you next time. And help us with the Holy Spirit to do what's right. Help us, the Holy Spirit, to open our mind, to be able to see things that, like I said before, the mind will help you to say, hey, that doesn't make sense. Why don't we just stop all the foam from coming off? Okay. God bless you and have a great day. We'll talk next time. I'll go on with 5.4 turbulence and NASA. It's the space shuttle program. Sounds exciting, right? God bless you.